Thinking about Jalen Ramsey on the Ravens, and that would be a lot of fun. Joe Flacco almost made his return to back up Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens end up getting another win, but it ended up costing them. Team Keep It Clean. There's so much to talk about with these Baltimore Ravens, and we're getting ready to. Before we do, make sure this Thursday, if you are in Baltimore, we got a special NFL draft party at Union Hill Kitchen Craft and Bar. Y'all make sure y'all come through. It's at Union Hill Kitchen Craft and Bar. I'll be there with 410 Sports Talk, the boys James and Glenn. It is going to be a party. People of all ages, you are all welcome. It's free to get in. Only thing you gotta pay for is your own food and drink. But besides that, we're going to have a great time. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. Now, Jalen Ramsey, it came out last week that the Dolphins, they are done with Jalen Ramsey. And what made it even worse is that they came out and said, yeah, we agreed to it's best that we part ways, and we're going to do that via trade. So that right there lets you know that the asking price for Jalen Ramsey is going to be incredibly low. It's not going to be no first round pick, no second round pick, no third round pick, no fourth round pick, maybe. But for Jalen Ramsey, is a fourth round pick bad? Now, why would the Baltimore Ravens, or why should the Baltimore Ravens be interested in him? And is it even a realistic possibility that Jalen Ramsey could even join the Ravens? Well, when you think about it, when he was coming out of the draft, the Baltimore Ravens really, really liked Jalen Ramsey. They liked him so much that they weren't willing to give up a first and a third, but they were willing to give up a first and a fourth to move up to draft Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, it didn't happen because just because of that one draft pick. Since they didn't want to give up Ozzie didn't want to give up the third, he was willing to give up the fourth, but not the third. So, it is what it is, though. And then when Jalen Ramsey wanted out of Jacksonville, guess who was interested too? Them Baltimore Ravens. They was all over that, but not all over it enough because obviously the trade never went down. So he ended up making his way to the Rams, and that's when the Ravens ended up getting Marcus Peters, and that worked out for a little bit. But then he made his way to the Dolphins, and that's where he's at now. And now he's getting ready to leave there too. So Jalen Ramsey, he has some short stays in some places, but once he's done, he's done. But that already makes it sound kind of bad, don't it? Well, with Jalen Ramsey, him being a Baltimore Raven, would that be a nice move? Now, let's start off with the negative first, because I know everybody think, he's going to make so much money. He's so expensive. And I get that he is, because it says that Jalen Ramsey right now, he would be due. It says Ian Rappaport said the Dolphins paid a $4 million in the roster bonus already. So of the $25.1 million fully guaranteed for 2025, 25. He said a new team would only have to pick up $21.1 million. All right, that right there, that'll kill it. That'll kill the deal right there. So this is already done before we even got started. But the only way that this would work out is with the Miami Dolphins. They would have to be willing to eat a huge chunk of Jalen Ramsey's salary. They would have to. That would be the ultimate requirement. And for them to eat like really most of it, the majority of it. And would the Dolphins be willing to do that just to really move off of him and get a draft pick, whether that draft pick was for this year or that draft pick was for next year? I think so, because, again, you don't just come out and say, we're done with Jalen Ramsey, we're moving on. If you're not done with Jalen Ramsey and you're moving on, that's like a last effort to try to get as most as you possibly can for this said player. Because what a lot of teams will do when they want to move off on a player, they say, we'll probably end up keeping him. They'll say something like that. They say, we really value this player. This player is really important to us because they're trying to up the market for that player. But with Jalen Ramsey, they said, nope, we're going to move on. We're done. But that would be the only way that they could facilitate a trade with the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Ramsey if the Dolphins ate a super huge chunk of his salary. But now that we moved on past the negative, the money part, what about the player? What would the Baltimore Ravens be getting in the player Jalen Ramsey? Is he Jalen Ramsey of old? No, he's not. Would he need to be Jalen Ramsey of old? No, he wouldn't need to be. He would be coming to a really, really good, great defense already. And all he would have to do, is Jalen Ramsey better than Brandon Stephens? Ask yourself that question. You can put the answer to it in the comment section if you choose to. But is Jalen Ramsey better than Brandon Stephens? Would Jalen Ramsey be better for the Baltimore Ravens than Brandon Stephens was for the Baltimore Ravens? Whatever your answer is what your answer is. But it's a simple yes for me, in my opinion. Is he a lockdown cornerback? No. But is he a physical cornerback? that knows how to turn his head around. Yeah, he certainly is. And while he's not the Jalen Ramsey of old, he certainly wouldn't have to be either. And now with Jalen Ramsey, you would also have options too, because Marcus Spears, he actually suggested it on NFL Live. He said that this would be such a Baltimore Ravens type of move for them to get somebody like a Jalen Ramsey, for them to trade for somebody like a Jalen Ramsey. And Asante Samuel, I mean, I think he knows a little something too about playing in the secondary. He said the following. He said, he may not agree with me, but I bet he would be more productive at safety at this point in his career. His numbers will be crazy. Thank me later. Now, Jalen Ramsey as a safety, he reminds me a lot of what I would envision Marlon Humphrey to be like as a safety. Somebody who knows how to catch picks. You know, before Marlon Humphrey didn't know how to catch picks, but now, oh yeah, he got it. But somebody very, very physical. Somebody who was once one of the best corners in the NFL. Marlon Humphrey still one of the best corners in the NFL. But that transition to safety, it will be so smooth. I just know it. And if you have Jalen Ramsey as safety, you still got Ardarius Washington. You got Super Duper Kyle. You can move really all of them around. And then you still got the draft for whatever you want to do there. I know a lot of people thinking Malachi starts, but I honestly don't even think he's going to be around by the time Baltimore Ravens pick. But we'll see. But that would give you so much opposite, because you got three people that could play safety, and then you got three people that could also play some corner for you. You can do so much stuff. The disguises that you could have on defense. Now, don't confuse yourself, but the disguises that you could have on defense would go crazy. And all of them ain't afraid to come up and knock somebody out. So I would be all for getting a Jalen Ramsey, adding him to the Baltimore Ravens. It will make the defense that much better. And then with Chidobe Awuzie, he's still there. You still got him. So, again, that will make the depth that much better. And, you know, like Eric DeCosta and them always say, as we know as fans, you can never have enough corners. You can never have enough bodies in the secondary, because stuff gets a little crazy, especially in Baltimore. But it would be nice. Will it happen? Is it realistic? It can be realistic, but it's more than likely not going to happen. But there are still some ways that this could get done. Earlier this offseason, the Baltimore Ravens were in the backup QB market. Of course, Josh Johnson, he went down the road to the Washington Commanders. Tyler Huntley, he just had a workout, I believe, with the Cardinals. So their recent backup QBs, they all finding new homes. And they ended up signing Cooper Rush. But was Cooper Rush the first option? I don't think so, because I remember weeks before Cooper Rush even became a thing for the Baltimore Ravens, I remember Jeff Zrebiec, he had tweeted about some of the backup quarterbacks that were available, and he included Joe Flacco on that list. One of my guys told me, he said, well, hey, Jeff Zrebiec ain't tweeting this for no reason. And I was thinking, well, that's true, because Jeff Zrebiec, he don't just talk without any substance. Jeff Zrebiec is always a reasoning behind what he will talk about, what he'll tweet about, what he'll write about, and that was exactly the case with Joe Flacco. Sarah Ellison, she got this from the Baltimore Sun. She said, Joe Flacco told Mike Preston that he had a brief conversation about returning to the Ravens this offseason. So that would have been something right there. She said the following, said, they did kind of reach out to my agent, Joe Lena, gauging my interest for something like that to happen. My agent called me up and was like, what do you want me to tell them? I'm like, well, listen, I'm interested. I don't know what's going to happen. It's not like choice number one. I don't know what's going to happen here with me if I'm going to get an opportunity to do something a little bit more, but I wasn't against it. I think I would have been excited about it a little bit of the way. And she said, in the end, Baltimore signed backup QB Cooper Rush, and Flacco re-signed with AFC North rival the Cleveland Browns. So, sound like Flacco was like, hey, that might be something. But at the same time, Lamar's the guy. That's Ravens quarterback. I would be a backup. And it sounds like Flacco still wants to play. Went to the perfect place to get an opportunity, because the Browns, they more than done with Deshaun Watson. They probably should even got started with him. That the whole thing was crazy, but it is what it is. I don't feel bad for them whatsoever. They in their own little conundrum, but their Cleveland conundrum, but it is what it is. So they got to deal with that. But Joe Flacco, sound like the interest was there, but the opportunity, he knew it wasn't going to be. Now, I'm not mad at this at all. Would it have been cool to have Joe Flacco as a backup quarterback? That would have been something right there. But I would have hated it because I know all fan bases are toxic, but the Ravens and the whole Lamar versus Flacco thing from fans, it would have started up again. Let Lamar miss one throw. If he would have missed one throw, they would have been so. Nope. That just no thanks. No thanks. I just don't think it would have. And obviously the fans don't dictate everything that goes on the football field. The fans ain't going to make somebody start or not start or play or not play. Fans ain't got none of that. Well, actually, Teamkeepitclean, y'all got a lot to do with a lot because EDC be listening to y'all. He don't listen to me, but he listen to y'all for sure. But I don't think for us as fans, it wouldn't have been the best situation. Them as players, they would have been just fine. They would have been just fine. They would know the game. They know the profession. They know what it is. They would have been cool. But for fans, it would have got really, really ugly. Last season when the Baltimore Ravens traded for Tre'Davious White, I was like, oh, okay. But when we got to see him play an extended amount of time, I was like, oh, okay, let's get it. And I was like that so much that after last season ended, I was interested in the Baltimore Ravens actually bringing him back and him even possibly being a starter for the Ravens. I would not have been opposed to that. Just him just being on a team. So that could be sort of a stay ready so you ain't got to get ready type of thing. Because the reason I wouldn't have been opposed to it is because he knows the defense. He was here for a good chunk of last year. And not only was he here, but when he played well. He did not look bad at all. And I was somebody that was thinking, oh, man, when they traded for him from the Rams, like it didn't sound like it was going good over there at all. So I was thinking, oh, man, is he done? Are we going to get anything out of him? And the Baltimore Ravens got more than something out of him. So I was like, okay, maybe we could keep this thing going. But the Baltimore Ravens, they didn't sign Tre'Davious White. And really, nobody did until yesterday. Because the Bills, they brought that old thing back. And they signed Tre'Davious White to a 1-year deal with a max value, that's important, max value of $6.8 million. So the Baltimore Ravens got Tre'Davious White, nice little contract. And also, now they did lose Tre'Davious White, but a way that they could possibly win is that they could get yet another comp pick, and they could end up maxing out on comp picks for the 2026 season, depending on how this contract shakes out. Now, with this contract, with it being a max value of up to $6.8 million, I'm sure it's going to be playtime incentives in there. It could be interception incentives in there. It could be a lot of stuff. Because when it's for somebody like Tre'Davious White, it's a max deal, $6.8 million. So we don't know exactly what the minimum of the deal is yet. We don't know what the base of the deal is yet. But hopefully, the Ravens could end up leaving with something. Now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to hear from y'all. Let's get straight into it. First question came from my guy, Matt. He said, unrealistic expectations. So it sounded like he may have been referring to the beginning of this video. Anyway, he said, hope you're doing well, Ingraven. Matt, we good, man. We good. We're a little sick right now, but we getting over it, so I appreciate you. He said, I feel like this needs to be said. I think a lot of Ravens fans and EDC are overlooking how big of a need it is to upgrade the guards. Lamar makes the O-line last year look good by scrambling, avoiding sacks, buying time to extend plays with the O-line really crumbled. That's true. That's true. He's been doing that for years, 4 years. Now, it ain't like the guards are the worst of the worst, because with Derrick Henry, if they were that bad, Derrick Henry would not have ran for 1,900 yards. But they could certainly use some upgrades in those spots, because they could be even better. Lamar could be sitting in that pocket for even longer. So anyway, he said, Sarah from the Vault showed clips all year on how Falele missed blocks a lot, and Makari was a good backup level at best. All the games we lost last year were against teams with elite defensive lines. It was like that for a while. But anyway, the Chiefs, Raiders, Browns, Steelers, and Eagles, and Bills. You pressure Lamar, and you shut down the Ravens offense. Now, I will say, and we said this before. We said this immediately right after the game, too. The Bills game. We lost that game. Bills got a nice defensive line. The offensive line of the Baltimore Ravens is not the reason the Baltimore Ravens lost that game at all. That is not the reason the Baltimore Ravens lost in the playoffs. They did not lose because of the offensive line. But anyway, he said Lamar gave up turnovers because of pass protection. People shouldn't expect Lamar to be Superman all the time and buy time all season long due to lack of blocking. Even King Henry mentioned that one post-game interview that they actually blocked. Lamar was able to achieve the 4th best passer rating despite the offensive line. Imagine what would happen if he had consistent, clean pocket. That'd be fun. That'd be fun to see. That'd be dangerous, too. Look what he did last year without a consistently clean 41-4. And none of the interceptions were on him. Anyway, he said, what I suggest is trading Mark Andrews just to free up cap space for a veteran guard. If you sign a veteran guard right now, Mark Andrews freeing up that cap space, you could do that, but you don't need, like, the market is cheap right now. It's dirt cheap right now, especially with the draft being around the corner. So you ain't got to get no crazy amount of cap room to get a veteran guard. He said, being honest, Mark is a luxury at this point, not a need, because we got Isaiah Likely. Arguably, Likely might be the better player because he is clutch all the time. Mark's playoff record just doesn't look good at all. 8 playoff games, 8 drops, 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Yikes. Hopefully, EDC will get a guard either in the first or second round in the draft. In my opinion, our biggest needs are guard and edge. Looking forward to this draft night. Peace. Appreciate you, Matt. Next question came from my guy Baltimore Own 54. He said, did you hear that next year Ray Lewis is going to be a co-owner with Steve? Oh, no. It sounds like you've been doing a lot of scrolling on Facebook. If so, don't do it there. Don't do it. No, don't do that. Anyway, he said, my question is, if this is true, it's not. It's not. It's not. Anyway, he said, do you feel like the Ravens would change their philosophy and get more aggressive during the draft or during free agency if that was true? But it's not, so you ain't got to worry about it. He said, what do you feel like the Ravens will stay, or do you feel like the Ravens will stay with who they are and nothing will change? Well, you ain't even got to worry about it, because that rumor, that whatever you read it, don't even go on that website no more. Next question came from my guy Camren. He said, Ingraven, I know this might just be a 1 in a million chances, but Jock, Jeremiah Owasu, he said, I know this might sound like an out of nowhere question, but I was looking at some of the highlights, and why not match the Steelers? They go out and get big players on offense, defense players. Let's match them. Not only are we getting a stronger defense, but sending a message to the Steelers that, hey, we up there too, and we still run this division. By getting Jock, you mean the former Brown, Cleveland Brown? I know he's still with the Browns, ain't he? He ain't no free agent, right? Not yet already. Because I know these NFL seasons, they be flying by. Like, when I first found out that Travis Jones is already in the last year of his deal, and Falele too, and Lamar already been playing, 7, 8 years? I said, wow, it's flying by like crazy, man. But Jock, I think he's still with the Browns, right?